and over to let maximum air into that intake above his head. And then Villeneuve, who says all he wants out of this race is that 4 points he needs to take the championship to Damon in Japan. But right now, he's nowhere close.
I wouldn't bet 50 cents on that today. As it stands now, with Hill running at the speed he's running, and he having to get around two of the most difficult people in Formula One to pass, that's a tough bet. Everything depended on the start, and Hill has had a very bad history of making starts this year, and here he did a perfect start. Had to weave a little bit, must have had a little bit of problems, some pushing his car or something to make him go to the, to the right like that, but I want to hear what his excuse is in that one. But he had to close the door, because if he didn't, he would have had to have gotten in front of LSE, and that's not easy.
He did it to LSE in Monza, and afterwards, not to LSE, excuse me, to Jacques Villeneuve. And afterwards, Villeneuve told a newspaper that he didn't like it, he wasn't happy with it, wasn't impressed by it at all, and that when the time came, if it happened again, he would give as good as he got. But he has soft-pedaled those comments this weekend. And Jacques Villeneuve and Damon have been very amiable, clowning for photographers in the garage and so forth. Make no mistake, when the visors go down, Villeneuve will be ready to go. You ride with him now, chasing Michael Schumacher in third.
This is a great view. This shows you how much that car behind, when you're behind someone's toe, how much you can gain. You saw he was gaining towards the end of the straightaway. That is not necessarily because Villeneuve's engine might have been stronger than Schumacher's. It's because the car in front is cleaning the air for you. It's almost like driving into a vacuum. But to pass a car, you have to be right behind him, at least 400 to 500 yards before you get to the braking area for the corner. And he just isn't that close yet.
If you're going to try to set someone up for a pass here, where are you going to try to do it?
I would try to get as close as I can on the center curve, which is the corner in front of the start and finish line, and I would try to be about 30 yards behind him when I came onto the straightaway, and then slingshot right up behind him and pull out, maybe if I got it just right, 100 yards before the corner. But this is not one of those places where you kind of want to try to pass somebody. You have to decide, here we go. It's just a, here we go, I hope I make it sort of attitude. And when you're fighting for a world championship, here we go, I hope I make it, is not really the right attitude. Like, this is the corner that I'm talking about. He's just a little, no, he's close enough. This time he could make a run at it at the end of the straightaway.
7 laps complete. Damon Hill continues to draw away.
He's about 1 car length too far behind.
I think Schumacher might have been motioning. No, he's too far behind to motion Villeneuve to come by him. He might have been pulling off a tear-off or something. He reached up with his left hand, did Schumacher. But then the cameras cut away, and I'm not sure exactly what he was doing.
Everybody's been complaining about this, about the tire wear on this track. And obviously, these 3 drivers here are having a battle amongst themselves, so they're really getting everything they can out of the car. Especially at this point, I think Villeneuve is probably really anxious and saying, Hill is getting too far away, I can't let this happen. So their tire wear is going to be higher than Hill's is. And that's going to come into play. That's definitely going to come into play when they get to the end of this session, the end of this set of tires, which might be another 10, 15, 20 laps. Those last 5 laps are going to be hard if you've leaned on your tires too hard in the beginning of this run.
Damon Hill's last lap, half a second quicker than Jean Alesi's. This corner is one of Michael Schumacher's preferred passing points on this track. Ride with Villeneuve.
You saw Villeneuve lost a lot of time coming out of there. He's been complaining throughout the whole weekend that he has a hard time in that chicane. I've never really quite understood why they started putting chicanes like that in the Grand Prix circuits. There's got to be a better way. Villeneuve is very quick coming out of the center curve. If he could just gain a little bit more on that little twiddly bit before he gets to that, he could be close enough to pass him. Here we go. This is he's just testing the water, putting his toe in the bathtub to see if it's hot enough. It's
water was a little cold that time.
Yeah, the water with the bathtub was freezing on that one. Whoa, try that again. So now what he's doing, he's studying Schumacher. Every time, every corner, he's seeing where he can gain, where he cannot gain, where he has to be careful, where he can make a harder run at it. Where you saw him test the pass is not necessarily where he's going to do it. He's just trying to make Schumacher know, hey, I'm here, pay attention to me, and he wants Schumacher to pay as much attention to him as he possibly can, so his mind will go off the actual art of driving. He wants Schumacher to be defensive. And when you get defensive is when you start getting slower and you start making mistakes.
Let's take another look at the start now and analyze what Damon and Jacques did. Hill on the right, Villeneuve on the left.
Hill starts to roll a little bit quicker than Villeneuve does, and if you can see Villeneuve, he got a little bit sideways when he had to change a gear. Every time you lose adherence like that, it's a problem. Alizé, who was behind, made a perfect run at it, and he had to come off the throttle when Hill closed the door.
And you saw Schumacher in the red Ferrari out to the right, going right to the edge of the track to loop around Villeneuve.
He was probably 3 or 4 miles an hour quicker than Villeneuve was going into the corner. They both kind of looked at each other, and Villeneuve said, it ain't worth it. Go for it. And I'm sure Schumacher played on the fact that Villeneuve is trying to run for a championship.
Damon Hill nowhere in sight. The battle is for second. Alesi, Schumacher, and Villeneuve as they climb the hill for the infield section of the Autódromo do Estoril. We'll take a quick break and return for more live from Portugal. Speedgear presents its latest catalog of officially licensed racing merchandise. Choose from the top names in Formula One and IndyCar, Benetton, Williams-Renault, Newman Haas, and Rahal. Drivers including Senna, Schumacher, and Hill, plus Andretti, Tracy, and Gordon. Speedgear has everything from t-shirts, hats, and jackets to scale models, videos, and hundreds of accessories. Call 1-800-777-1847 for your free catalog from Speedgear.
The Grand Prix Tour's 36-page color brochure features special insider packages to Formula One races around the world, and it's free. Montreal, Monaco, the British Grand Prix, Spa, Monza. Since 1983, Grand Prix Tours has provided its guests the best seats, exclusive VIP celebrity parties with race personalities, and the latest racing news from pro race commentators. Call 800-400-1998 for the free 36-page color brochure with complete details. Only Grand Prix Tours takes you inside Formula One.
Here's you. Here are the college football games you want to see that you can't get on TV where you live. Here's what you'd have to do to see them. You'd have to go here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and of course you'd still need tickets. Now here's a much better game plan. ESPN Game Plan. Lots of great college football games you can't normally see. Sent right to you. Call your cable operator or DirecTV to order ESPN Game Plan and see some of these great games in your home this Saturday. See Friday's USA Today for Saturday's Game Plan.
Welcome back live to the Grand Prix of Portugal. No change in position. Still Damon Hill, Jean Alesi, Michael Schumacher, and then Jacques Villeneuve. You ride with the two-time world champion who will hand over his title this year. At this point, it would appear to Damon Hill. We want to remind you, Destination Extreme, presented by Slim Jim, coming your way in a triple-header format. The best of extreme athletes and events, 3 shows back-to-back. Thursday, September 26th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Destination Extreme here on ESPN2. Jacques Villeneuve in the Senna turn, a turn that the late Brazilian triple world champion would be delighted to see has been named after him because it's just the kind of corner he adored. Very, very fast. Once again, Schumacher with his hand up, perhaps wiping something off of his visor.
I think Alizé's car might be leaking some sort of a fluid. I hope it's not oil for his sake, but it might be leaking something because Schumacher keeps cleaning off his visor. And the only thing ahead of him is Alesi, so that makes things very difficult when you keep getting stuff on your visor, because if you keep clearing it, it keeps getting smudgier and smudgier and smudgier, and you really can't get it off until you come into the pit stop.
Villeneuve drawing ever closer to Schumacher. There you see the points as of this moment. Hill would have 91. There is 10 for a victory. Villeneuve 71. That 20-point gap more than enough for Damon Hill to clinch the championship. And note the Schumacher-Alesi battle. 3 points separating the two rivals. It was 5 coming in.
This is a section that Villeneuve has got to close the gap. Villeneuve has got to get close. Oh, Schumacher's right on the limit. He might actually get a run on him this time, because if he can stick with him, he's got to stick right to the back of his gearbox through the next 2 corners. He just lost a little bit again. If he can get right on him on this section, come out of here with not more than 20 feet between him and the Ferrari, he could get alongside him in the braking area early enough to force Schumacher to give him room. But if he does it too late, Schumacher can take the option of saying, well, maybe I can make it around the outside of the corner.
You see by the speed with which the 5th place number comes up for Gerhard Berger. That gap is in real time. So Berger 7 full seconds behind the 4th place car of Jacques Villeneuve. We're about 6 laps away from the first pit stops for those on a 3-stop strategy.
Hill's fastest lap is half a second quicker than the next car running behind him. That is a lot of time. At this early on in the race, that is a lot of time.
And on the last lap, he was a full second quicker than Jean Alesi in second.
See, he doesn't really, only problem that Hill has to worry about right now is making sure he doesn't use his equipment too much, especially his tires. And he can pace himself in the manner that he wishes to. He's getting on his board, he's getting what the difference is between him and Alesi, and so he just kind of drives around that, and he's just taking it as if it's a test. He has a full tank test to be doing right now. He's got to do how many laps the race is and just take it easy, not making mistakes. The back markers now are spread out so he can pick them off one at a time. And he really doesn't have to battle with anybody but his own demons. And if he's up ahead there all by himself, that's where he's the most comfortable. He has a whole straightaway.
Saw Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Sauber Ford. Started 11th, now runs in 14th place. So right about now, if Damon Hill could stop the world, he could walk up to Frank Williams and say, okay, Frank, now how about that decision to put Frentzen in the car? He's lost 3 positions in this race. Meanwhile, I am simply running away, and I have an identical car to that my teammate Jacques Villeneuve is driving. He finds himself isolated in 4th.
There's a lot more to those decisions than we can see from the outside. And I know, and Frank has won so many world championships that he probably has other reasons, internal reasons in the team. Maybe he's trying to get the right driver for the future of the team now that he has Villeneuve that can do a good job. But it is really sad, I think, to see him out of that car.
Olivier Panis, winner of the Grand Prix of Monaco under extraordinary circumstances. This is on lap 13. That's a little early, even for a 3-stop strategy.
They've been having problem with their setup, and they said they had solved it this morning in the warm-up, but obviously not, because when you have to come in that early, it's a problem. You can see, if you look at the front tires, how much camber they have to run around this circuit. This is a very particular circuit, and everybody does a lot of testing on it, so you'll see a lot of little peculiar things in the setup that you wouldn't see anywhere else. Whenever you can accumulate a lot of data, the engineers have a lot of time to go crazy. And
compounding that problem, Damon Hill has pointed out that rain showers on Friday and Saturday have washed off all of the accumulated rubber buildup. So it's been a very green racetrack the drivers, engineers, and teams have been dealing with every day of this 3-day Grand Prix weekend, which it appears Grand Prix weekends will be in 1997. After all the discussion of reducing them to 2, it appears we will have 3-day Grand Prix weekends, and we may go back to 2 qualifying sessions. How things can change. We'll be back in a moment.
Jim is here today to test the new Eagle Talon.
This is Chester. He likes car rides.
Woohoo, and salami sticks.
We'll be right back.
Just watch the toenails on the upholstery. Oh, you too, Chester! So?
Talon is awesome. Great price, 16-valve engine, 140 horses.
Make that 141.
I love the new look. I think Chester does too.
Don't even think about it, dog breath.
Test it yourself. Make the call. 1-800-2-TEST-EAGLE.
Candace, she coming?
I left her a message, but it's like she's gone into hiding.
Oh, we're not ready to order yet.
Guys, it's me.
Candace? Don't tell me it's that Sprint dime a minute thing.
It's made me more popular than a 3-taco combo platter.
Yeah, now I hear Sprint's gone and improved it.
Introducing 10 cents a minute, 24 hours a day to the number you call the most.
So, do you want to sit down and eat?
Are you nuts? In these pants?
Call now for 10 cents a minute, 24 hours a day to the number you call the most.
There are enough things in your life you have to wait for. Your sports news shouldn't be one of them. ESPN News Network, the 24-hour sports news network from ESPN. Who else?
Welcome back to Estoril, Portugal, where from the nearby harbor at Cascais, local legend has it, a native son discovered America, or the New World, as you would have it, long before Columbus did. Right now, it's a battle for the Formula One World Championship. Pedro Lamy and his Minardi, the moving chicane around which the top 4 cars have to go. Damon Hill is by, Jean Alesi is by, and now this man, Michael Schumacher, will have to make his way by. Oh, here comes Villeneuve around the outside.
What a great move. What a great move by Schumacher, because he tried to hold off, back off. Oh, awesome driving. Unbelievable. What Schumacher tried to do, he saw the backmarker up ahead of him, so he thought, well, I'm going to slow down, try to hold up Villeneuve and make a run at him when I can in the straightaway. But Villeneuve saw it coming, and he said, I'm going to have none of that. I'm going around you on the outside and him. And he tried it and made it. That is an unbelievable. Schumacher outsmarted himself, and Villeneuve saw it coming, and that was a very, very intelligent, quick reflex. Very risky, but quick.
Let me apologize to Lamy. I get a closer look at that helmet. I believe that's Giovanni Lavaggi. That is Lavaggi in the Minardi. Villeneuve went by. Schumacher had to make the best of it. We'll see if Schumacher dives for the pit this time around. He could use those new tires and get out and put in a thumper of a lap to try to get the advantage on Villeneuve. But right now, Villeneuve able to open up a margin over him.
Obviously, Schumacher was holding up Villeneuve. Schumacher's not an easy guy to pass, and I don't think Villeneuve would have passed him if Schumacher wouldn't have had that problem with that back marker. A lot of cars are starting to come in the pits now, so we'll probably see some pit stops. The cars that come in early are the ones that have problems with their handling. So you'll see the Williams, I think, coming in later than anybody. No?
Problems for Diniz there. Meanwhile, this is Damon Hill making his stop. First of 3 expected. Williams team has improved their pit stops tremendously this year. 7.7 seconds. That tells you there's very little fuel going in.
Either that or they found a way to get the fuel in quicker than everybody else has, which would be illegal.
They don't cheat in Formula One, do they? New tires for Damon Hill, who will take his place in line. As you look at Jean Alesi, who now becomes the race leader. And he has Jacques Villeneuve all over his gearbox now. No sign of Michael Schumacher at the back of that picture, brought to you by Portuguese television. It'd be nice to see where Michael is right now. Meanwhile, Martin Brundle makes his first stop.
Villeneuve was one of the quickest cars in Monza in the pit stop, so we'll see if he can pick up that little bit of time here also. It's a very difficult thing to do, to come into the pits, stay under the speed limit, stop on your mark, leave when you're supposed to leave. It's very easy to lose a second in your pit stop and very hard to get it back on the track. I mean, if you're only, let's say if you're 2/10 slower than the car ahead of you, that's 5 laps to get that second back. Whereas in the pits, if you just have a little hiccup or try to take a little bit too easy and not risk, Villeneuve's in the pits.
Villeneuve heads for the pits. That leaves Jean Alesi out there. Alesi may be on a 2-stop strategy. We'll have to wait and see. All this taking place on lap 19. As Alesi has crossed the start-finish line, Michael Schumacher, bit of a messy entry to the pits there. And he's got Villeneuve just behind him. Let's see who gets out first.
England against Italy. Let's see who's the fastest in the pits.
Ferrari has been very quick on their stops this year. Ooh, problems. Well, not too bad for Schumacher. 7-2. Both of them quicker than Damon Hill. Brilliant stop for the Williams team to get Villeneuve back out. He can't complain about that.
And the Benetton is in the lead.
There's your race leader, Jean Alesi. Looking for the first win for the Benetton team this year. Fabio Briatore says he will have both of his drivers, Berger and Alesi, back next year, although there are still some questions hanging around Alesi.
Having the world champion on your team is a very appetizing thing to have, because you have that magical number 1. And I don't think Hill is out of the picture as everybody's making him out to be. Bernie Ecclestone was a little bit too adamant in saying, well, he doesn't have much of a choice. Maybe he should retire. Bernie is probably one of the better poker players, or public poker players in the world. So I would be truly surprised if Damon Hill did not end up in a world-class team for next year. What about all the theories on having a 3-car team? Remember last year, but that wasn't too long ago, but he was saying they'll have 3 cars on every team to make sure that the grid is filled with quality cars.
Be nice to have a world champion to stick into your 3rd car.
That would help.
Alesi leads Damon Hill by 6.697 seconds. So Hill is in great shape right now because he's got Eddie Irvine, who hasn't made his stop yet, 7 seconds behind him. Same with David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen. Now Gerhard Berger makes the first stop for the Benetton team. When Alesi makes his stop, Damon Hill will take over the lead, and he will be well out in front. The rev limiter working as Berger leaves. Ligier is being passed by race leader Alesi. John Alesi, hard to believe he's been in Formula One for more than 100 Grands Prix.
What's really impressive is that he stayed out this long with his tires. They have a different strategy than everybody else does. I mean, he's really stretched it. So the more you can stretch it on your first set of tires, the better off you're going to be towards the end of the race. When you have that new set on again, you'll have a lighter fuel load. I'm very impressed. I definitely would not put it beyond them to try to make it on 2 stops unless he starts getting, he's not coming in this time either.
Alesi not known to be particularly easy on the equipment. You think Berger might be the guy they go with for that strategy. Of course, Alesi is very, very quick. The 20 laps complete. 5 seconds separate Hill from Alesi. Stay with us.
Hey, what's up, man? All right.
Who is that?
Oh, man, check it out.
Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Stay cool.
There's a place in New York owned by the biggest sports stars around.
You know, I liked him with long hair.
And you never know when they'll show up.
Well, sure.
It's the official All-Star Cafe.
Henry Griffey Jr., 301 lifetime average.
Where the owners are always willing to help out.
Excuse me, it's 302.
So if you go, bring the right stats and the right card. Visa, because the All-Star doesn't take. American Express.
301 lifetime average.
Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
When I took the high endurance challenge from Old Spice, I really thought it was going to be a challenge. I mean, this is a challenge. This is a sure thing. It evaporates less quickly. It also lasts longer, protects better. Old Spice guarantees it. Now, if you don't think it's the best, you call 1-800-PROVE-IT and they'll buy you a stick of your old deodorant. So if you're looking for a real challenge, go climb a mountain. If you're looking for the best deodorant, try high endurance from Old Spice. Because now you got proof. Guaranteed.
Welcome back to Portugal, where Jean Alesi leads with his first pit stop still ahead of him as Mika Hakkinen heads for the pit lane. He was in 5th place when he came in. This is lap 21. We'll see. Should be in the 7-second range. 7.5, not bad. Not as quick as Jacques Villeneuve's 7 seconds even, or Michael Schumacher's 7.2, but ahead of Damon Hill's 7.7. Meanwhile, Jean Alesi is drawing out his gap. Damon Hill must have been balked. He lost almost 3 full seconds on that last lap.
Traffic is getting pretty heavy now because people are coming in and out of the pits, and when you leave the pits with a new set of tires, even although they're preheated in Formula One, it takes at least 1.5 laps to 2 laps before you get up to speed. And if you come across a grapple of those cars that have just come out the pits, it's very difficult to find a way around them without risking more than you really want to.
Into the pits comes the race leader.
So he stretched it out for 6 laps.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa,
whoa. Hit the curb going in the pits, almost went into the guardrail. Not a very good move. Not a very good move at all. Very lucky he didn't hit anything, and that could have been a suspension. I don't think it did because he's down to probably 1st gear, but not very good.
Look like scuffed tires going on Jean Alesi's car. Lots of empty pits in front of him. That's good news. Although he's probably kicking himself a little bit for that pit entry.
Oh, he's probably trying to get his breath back. He was up in the air on one side, then hit the other curb up in the air on the other side. I mean, he was definitely in a damage control mode for at least 2 seconds. That would have been very embarrassing.
It was that first pit that Nigel Mansell overshot in his Ferrari back in the early 90s. They pushed him back to his spot. That led to a black flag. Mansell came storming out of the pits. A couple of laps later, collided with Ayrton Senna.
Villeneuve has the fastest lap. So he's trying to make up the speed that he lost with a bad start.
That's Harold Frentzen. Not a very good stop for the Sauber team. They will have Johnny Herbert on their driver strength next year. Here's a look at the pit stops from pit entry to pit out. Villeneuve got that 7-second stop, the stationary part of the pit stop, and obviously that helped him get back out in the quickest possible time, saving 0.2 of a second over Michael Schumacher and 0.6 over Damon Hill.
Now that might not look like a lot of time to you when you're just trying to measure out the 28 seconds compared to 27.6, but it is. On the racetrack, that's about 300 yards. And 300 yards with two guys that are driving as hard as they can with cars that are pretty similar, that's a lot of time. That'll take you probably 3 to 4 laps to pick up. So to lose that much distance in that short a period of time is a problem. And if you do that 3 times in a race, that could be the difference between winning or having a run at passing somebody into the race or not doing it.
There's the current running order among the top 4. Damon Hill leads his teammate Jacques Villeneuve by 7.1 seconds. Both have made their stops. Michael Schumacher has made his. And I guess everyone in the top 6 there has now made their stops. We want to take another look at Jean Alesi's stop, including that pit entrance.
Now let's watch what happens. He does not, I can't see him locking up his brakes yet. Trying to slow the car down, is downshifted. Ooh, got sideways over a bump, got sideways going in. Hits the curb on one side, flies up, lands on 2 wheels, lands on the other side again. Oh my goodness. That is what we call brain fade. Brain fade or no brakes, but I think his brakes are working because he was in the lead. It doesn't take much. When you're on the limit, that just goes to show you how important they have put it into his head in his briefings. Don't be slow coming into the pits. Don't be slow coming to the pits. They've probably told him that so many times after the last few races that he thought, I am not going to be slow coming in the pits. But there's a limit. There's a little point where it becomes better to be slow and safe than fast and bouncing over curbs.
That's right. We forgot to mention, we didn't think it was necessary, that you don't want to do any stump jumping on your way into the pits. Everybody has now pitted except Giovanni Lavaggi. You saw his teammate Pedro Lamy in the pits, and you saw graphically as he exited the pits, it looked like he had clutch trouble. He's simply down on power compared with everyone else. No wheel spinning on the way out of the pits for Lamy.
Yeah, that's pretty sad when you can't even spin your wheels leaving the pits, though.
A lot of these drivers have been complaining, particularly Johnny Herbert. He says he's getting so little downforce. He's spinning his wheels everywhere on this racetrack.
When they ran it the first day when it was green and there was no rubber on it, the track was very, very slippery. They were almost 5 seconds slower than they had been in the winter testing. This is a very physical track. This is a track where being in good condition is going to make a big difference. Places like Monza, you have those long straightaways, you can rest, you don't really fit, not very physical. This place, you're working at it the whole way around.
Feathering the throttle through the center turn, coming up behind Ukio Katayama.
Now that is a difference in horsepower. He just got up behind him, out-accelerated him, and passed him. When you have 2 cars that are very close, you cannot do that easily.
How tight is the engine situation for 1997 in Formula One? Consider that the Tyrrell team has suffered nearly 50 engine-related failures with their Yamaha engines, costing them tons of points, perhaps threatening their future in the World Championship. And yet there are at least 3 teams out there trying to get that Yamaha engine package for 1997. We'll take Eddie, we'll take a quick break while Damon Hill leads and draws away from Jacques Villeneuve. This is not good enough for Villeneuve either. He has to get ahead of Hill. We'll be back.
This is about the biggest idea in business communication today. About simple being smart, less being more. About how your business can get local and long-distance calling, plus everything from paging to conferencing, global to cellular. The whole menu, soup to nuts. From one team on one bill. From the one and only company in America with the power to put it all together. Network MCI. That's how.
Testing the new Eagle Talon TSI today is Sharon, a professional driving instructor. Ready? Let's go.
Talon's all-wheel drive's great for this maneuver.
Makes you real popular with road crews, too.
Lots of power from the 16-valve turbo, 210 horses.
Wouldn't you like to try some parallel parking?
Sure.
Nice technique.
Hey.
Really.
Test it yourself. Make the call. 1-800-2-TEST-EAGLE.
All set?
You bet I am. Thanks to you.
A few weeks ago with Jesse, I noticed something. Dandruff. So I told him about Head & Shoulders. Regular shampoos just rinse flakes away. Head & Shoulders helps prevent flakes from even forming.
Because great hair can't have flakes.
How can you tell if a vehicle's wheels are out of alignment? If it shimmies or pulls like this cart. Bring it straight to Midas. They'll correct the problem the very same day. And you'll still have time to get to the store.
Welcome back to Estoril, Portugal. The dramatic circuit set out in a rocky field high above the village of Estoril and nearby fishing town of Cascais. Popular testing spot for all of the Formula One teams. In fact, nearly all of them plan to stay on after this race for some heavy testing in anticipation of boxing up the cars to send them off to Japan for the final race of the year at Suzuka Circuit in 3 weeks. Damon Hill leads the race by a handy margin over his teammate Jacques Villeneuve. You see Villeneuve, second car in line at the back of the picture. Here comes the French-Canadian, who has had a remarkable, even a historic rookie year in Formula One with 3 victories. Damon Hill has the record for points. Villeneuve will threaten it. We have great soccer action coming your way. The playoffs are underway in the first year for the major professional soccer league. We'll have the conference semifinal here on ESPN2 Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 Pacific. Check out great soccer action here on the Deuce. No matter what happens, Jacques Villeneuve has done a brilliant job in this first year. Here are the all-time rookie points. Damon Hill set the record back in '93. I suppose the ironic thing is you ask anyone in Formula One about rookies, they will say, we do not refer to first-year drivers as rookies.
We're America. We do.
That's right. I don't care what you've won. A.J. Foyt goes to the Daytona 500 as a many-year IndyCar champion, and he's a rookie, by golly.
Yeah. Oh, that was very good move for the Tyrrell driver, just to move out of the way and let him get on his with his World Championship charge.
Points as of right now, if we were to award the points based on present position, more than enough for Damon Hill to become the first second-generation Formula One World Driving Champion, following in the wheel tracks of his father, Graham Hill, one of the great personalities in the history of this great sport.
What is astonishing about Hill and how his relationship has kind of gone the wrong way with the Williams team is the Williams team took him when Hill was nothing. I mean, the only thing he had going for him was his surname. And he really didn't do very much in the lower categories, really wasn't very successful in places he had gone before. They needed a test driver. He probably got there because maybe of a relationship with the families. I don't know how it happened between the Williams and the Hills or whatever. And they developed him into obviously one of the best test drivers on the Formula One circuit. And he did very well. He did very well against Prost. He did very well against Senna. He's just had a few little spots in his career, like in Australia when he lost the championship to Schumacher, and maybe last weekend, the last race at Monza. There's just a few little spots where he is not perfection, but he is an incredibly talented driver, and he's very mature in what he does. I mean, he doesn't seem to make that many big mistakes to warrant firing him, but obviously there's something more to that than we know. And if you were to take Villeneuve, what a year. I mean, he's been so lucky. He got into the best car with a very good teammate, and they just worked him to death. So he now has as much experience on this car as anybody else does.
As near as anyone can tell, the reason that Heinz-Harald Frentzen will be paired with that man, Jacques Villeneuve, next year in the Williams team is that Frank Williams reckons that this guy, Michael Schumacher, in a reliable and competitive Ferrari will be more than Damon Hill can handle. He thinks Heinz-Harald Frentzen can do it, based mostly, I would have to say, on his reputation. And the fact that he blew that Williams' highly touted test driver, Jules Bouillon, into the weeds when Bouillon spent a season with Sauber. He couldn't come close to Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Well, That will be the story next year. Frentzen will have some big shoes to fill as Frank Williams loses his 4th world champion, the 4th driver to win the title and take the #1 plate elsewhere with him the following season. There is Michael Schumacher, who will give up that #1 plate with the Ferrari team, but he'll be back in the blood red cars next year. We'll be back with more from Portugal. Stay with us.
If you're a real car enthusiast, you should be reading AutoWeek every week. For true car lovers, once a month is not enough.
AutoWeek has the latest news because it's a weekly. You can stay up on top of everything.
All the new models, concept cars, SUVs, even collector cars are in AutoWeek every week.
AutoWeek will give you information on new models that really isn't available anywhere else.
All the racing news and analysis you could ever want when it's still hot.
I'm into going racing with my buddies, and AutoWeek gives us information to talk about before it's old news. Anything with wheels, AutoWeek has.
Call 1-800-232-1502 now for a full year of AutoWeek at the lowest price ever. Just $19.95 for 52 big issues.
If you're as serious about cars as I am, you've got to be reading AutoWeek.
Call 1-800-232-1502 for the lowest price ever on AutoWeek. Call now to get AutoWeek every week.
If you only had time for one car magazine, AutoWeek would be the one to read.
Call now.
How do you keep track of everything that happens in the world of motor racing? You drive with us. RPM tonight, the ultimate wrap-up of the day that was in the world of motor racing. Tonight at 8, only on ESPN2.
Back live at the Grand Prix of Portugal, onto the news section of this Autódromo do Estoril, modified heavily in 1994 in the wake of the tragic accidents that befell Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna at Imola, as many tracks were, in the eyes of many fans and drivers, emasculated for safety reasons following those tragedies. But it is a fine circuit, great place to watch a race from the high grandstands. You can see more than half of the track. Right now, Michael Schumacher, it would appear, is struggling, trying to produce more magic for Ferrari. Alain Prost, the last man to win 3 straight for the Prancing Horse brand back in 1990 at Mexico, France, and Britain. Ride with Mika Hakkinen, who has been confirmed in the McLaren team for next year on a 1-year contract alongside David Coulthard.
Oh, his handling. You can. That's that corner onto the back straightaway. Obviously, their handling is not quite what they're looking for. He was really having to feather the throttle all the way around, trying to get the back end to come where he wanted. Here he goes. He's making a run on his teammate. No, he decides not to.
Let me clarify a remark I made earlier about rookie status and AJ. It's a hypothetical situation. Even if a guy with AJ's achievement were to go to a new series like stock cars, despite all that he had done in other series, he would be considered a rookie in that series. I'm not saying if AJ went there right now, he would be a rookie. Thank you very much.
I would not want to be in the same room when somebody called AJ a rookie. I've been there when he gets angry.
I remember
it's like watching a bull in a pen.
He had that yellow stripe on his stock car not too many years ago.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't the guy that had to stick it on his car. Get that thing off my car.
And you see the gaps between the runners. And there are the 2 McLaren teammates, Coulthard and Hakkinen. Mika Hakkinen had an interesting moment on Friday. He narrowly missed a dog that had wandered onto the circuit. Right there, he narrowly misses Martin Brundle's Jordan. Actually, that's Coulthard on Jordan.
1 year in Austria, Johansson with the McLaren didn't narrowly miss a deer, and it took, when he hit it, it took half of his car off, and the car just rolled on for what seemed like almost a quarter of a mile. And when I went and spoke to Stefan afterwards, he had the look of terror in his eyes. He said, I've never been so frightened in my life, and if it would have hit me in the middle of the car, not on the side, it would have just taken me away with it.
I was there for that race. That was my first Formula One race. Welcome to the club.
I'm sure the deer was even more frightened than Stefan was.
Not for long. Rubens Barrichello, whose IndyCar plans seem to have cooled of late, is talking to several teams.
7.9, quick stop. two McLaren drivers are following each other around. So we have to be very careful when you're in a team and you're battling with your teammate. Few things can be as embarrassing as when you bump into him or come into the pits at the wrong time and take his place. You have to act, I wouldn't say in a more responsible manner, but you have to make sure when you're going to pass, you do it as cleanly as you can, because there is no reason in the world why two teammates should bump into each other.
We expect pit stop shortly. 33 laps complete, so the two stoppers should be in momentarily. As you look at Mika Hakkinen, this was the track in 1993 where Mika Hakkinen stepped forward into the McLaren seat, vacated by Michael Andretti.
Okay, now listen to the throttle here. Now, when you hear somebody blipping like that in a fourth gear corner, that means they are right on the limit of adhesion. What he was doing with the throttles, he was driving the car with the throttle more than with the steering wheel. A little more throttle, the back would come out. A little less throttle, the back would come back into place where he wanted it. So he is right on the limit. Now, you can imagine when you're following another car, this is only two places you can pass. When you're following another car, you even lose that aerodynamic downforce in front of you. Villeneuve is catching up to Hill pretty aggressively.
I was hoping we'd get the onboard audio and you could listen to the way Villeneuve was doing it, but we didn't get it that time around. Now Hill into the pit lane for his second stop. It looks good. A 7-second stop for Hill.
Did you see that board that had brakes written on it? That is kind of what you would call an idiot-proof pit stop. But now they even those are sponsored. That had Lockheed brakes. Well, that's good to know. As if you don't know that you have to brake. It's you know, it is really strange when you come into the pits like that, when you have those little boards that tell you what to do. Maybe once in 100 you'll make a mistake and that'll remind you what to do. I used to have one that said first gear, like as if I'd want to start in second, but there were many a time that brings you back to focus on what you have to do.
Well, there's the old story about the American driver at Le Mans, a man of some achievement in his career. After a while driving for the factory Porsche team, they put a little piece of tape on his steering wheel when he got in the car saying, on the way out, depress the clutch, then move the gear lever. Sometimes we do things instinctively and get a little bit behind in our mechanics.
I had one on my board once in Indy cars. I think it said, sit in, shut up, and go, or something like that. Never found out who put it on, though.
As I said, back in '93, Hakkinen out-qualified Ayrton Senna at this track, and everybody's eyebrows shot up. Martin Brundle completes his stop for Jordan. Now Jacques Villeneuve in for his second stop. Also reminding him about the rev limiter. Hit the button on your way out. Don't go faster than 75 miles an hour. They see the Ferrari team jumping into the pit lane. That's for Michael Schumacher. Villeneuve comes out behind his teammate. Damon Hill holds on to the lead.
He was ready to go. He was ready to go almost a second and a half before they let him. When they come into the pits, you can hear their throttle. For the first 4 or 5 seconds, they just keep it around 4,000 or 5,000 revs. When they get around the 6th second to where it's time to go, they know it's going to be around 7. Every one of these drivers hits the rev limiter. These engines are so strong, so very strong. They just hit the rev limiter, and when they tell them to go, they just drop the clutch, and here we go. And then another piece of electronic wizardry comes into it, which is a speed limiter. So all these things have to follow into procession.
More words to that effect. We're at about the halfway mark of this 70-lap race. We'll take a quick time out as you watch Michael Schumacher pounding his way around. Brilliant first year for Ferrari, rapidly coming to a close. Stay with us.
This seems like a good time to introduce the new, more responsive Volvo 850 GLT. Drive safely.
How domino champ Charlie Armstrong eats a Reese's peanut butter cup. There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
If you're looking for a real challenge, this is it. If you're looking for a sure thing, take the High Endurance Challenge from Old Spice. This deodorant evaporates less quickly, it also lasts longer, protects better. So try High Endurance. It's a sure thing. And now you got proof. I know I do.
What's it all about? In a word, fundamentals, basics, win, win, win. Not just one thing. It's everything. You know how many number ones there are? This many. Hey guys, keep the heat on. Not just today, not just tomorrow, every day. If you're second best, what's the point?
From ESPN Labs, ESPNET Sports Zone. Updated nearly 1,000 times an hour, it always has something new to make you a better fan. ESPNET Sports Zone. Technology for you.
Back in Portugal, this is the way it was meant to be. 1 and 2 in the points, 1 and 2 on the racetrack. And Jacques Villeneuve, with fastest lap of the race on lap 37, is closing up on Damon Hill.
Visually closing up on him. Villeneuve has caught up a lot. Now we'll see if, don't forget though, if Hill finishes right behind Villeneuve, it's still a very good result for him.
Hill does not have to finish ahead of Jacques Villeneuve to clinch here. He just has to stay within 4 points. The gap from first to second is 4, and that would be all Damon would need. The gap from second to third, should it come to that, is 2 points. So Villeneuve really is working without a net here. He has to get ahead of Hill and has to hope someone else pushes their way up to second and third. And fourth. Damon Hill has to finish fifth. There you see the gap coming down again. 2/10 taken off on that last lap. We've got a great one going here, but there's also great racing coming your way a little bit later on today when the Winston Cup cars take to the track at Martinsville, Virginia for the Haynes 500. That'll be at 12:40 p.m. Eastern, 9:40 a.m. Pacific on ESPN.
I think Hill's mindset has changed a little bit now. He sees that the race has settled into kind of a, I wouldn't say a procession, but we know where everybody's going to be at. He probably knows the positions, what the distance is between Villeneuve and the next car, and he is just thinking right now World Championship. That's his main focus. That has been his focus for the past 3 years, and he's been unfortunate in not winning it beforehand. So right now he's just thinking, I assume he's just thinking, what do I need to win the championship? I can't see Villeneuve running into Hill when he's trying to pass him, because he would be the biggest loser in this. So it's going to be a very strategic race from here on out. Villeneuve has to pass him to have a chance, and Hill has to make sure he finishes second to win the championship.
There certainly are plenty of ways to make a mistake under pressure at a track like Estoril. There are the points if they were to be awarded. Well, these are the points as of now, excuse me, coming into the weekend. Hill with 81, Villeneuve with 68, Schumacher and Alesi in a 5-point battle for third in the championship, which Alesi very much wants to win. There is Johnny Herbert exiting the pits after his stop with the Sauber team. Rumors that team is looking at Brian Hart's still unraced V10 engine program for next year. Their Malaysian sponsors from Petronas, the national petroleum company in Malaysia, would like to buy that engine program, call the engine a Petronas V10. But at the moment, that hasn't happened. They also, excuse me.
It's almost as if Hill has kind of just changed his pace. I think he might even have a problem. He's just, I mean, he's caught him. Villeneuve has caught him at such an alarming pace. He's losing half a second a lap. And there's the battle also for Alesi and Schumacher for third place in the championship. That's going to heat up. So we have two separate battles going on here for two of the most important positions in the championship. Obviously, winning the championship is vital. Coming second kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth. But I think if you can finish third, as opposed to fourth, it's another one of the most hopeful place to be in. I think Hill's just going to let Villeneuve go.
Looking in his mirrors, watch the helmet tilt. The deep navy blue helmet that Damon Hill's father wore before him with the white stripes, emblematic of the oars of the London Rowing Club.
And Villeneuve is setting a blistering pace, but it also seems that Hill just is kind of slowed down. Hill knows that if Villeneuve runs into, well, if Villeneuve should by any chance bump into him, Villeneuve almost has as much to lose, if not more, than Hill does.
Well, absolutely. If Villeneuve goes off the track, the title chase is over. So he'll have to pick his spot very, very carefully. Two great drivers, identical cars and engines, at least to the best of our knowledge at this point.
Or to the best of Williams' ability.
Exactly. Of course, no two cars are precisely identical.
No. A lot of it is the choice the drivers make in their setup. Villeneuve is obviously working harder at it. If we get an in-camera view of his car, you can see how hard he's working away at the steering wheel, which is very uncharacteristic of when you're driving a Formula One car, because you have to be very precise, and the least amount that you move it, the better off you're going to be. But Villeneuve obviously is just running as hard as he can, and Hill just seems to be trying to make it to the end of the race without having any mechanical problems and not finishing farther back than second.
We've got to take a quick break, but we'll keep an eye on this battle, as will Portuguese television. We'll be back in just a moment for more live from the Grand Prix of Portugal. Stay with us.
For cars that can benefit from higher octane,
Frank, we're late.
Texaco Clean System 3 Power Plus and Power Premium are formulated to clean your engine's intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers while you're driving. For smooth starts and sure acceleration, just give us 5 tanks, and we think you'll see a difference. A word of advice, though. Maybe you'd better leave the windows rolled up.
Add more life to your car. Take it to the star.
A front airbag is a very powerful device designed to help protect an adult, not a child. Because of the size of the bag and the speed of its inflation, Volvo believes no child should ever be placed in the front seat of a car. Any car. Drive safely.
Natural ability only takes you so far. The right equipment counts for a lot. That's why I like Pert Plus. It gets the job done right. Cleans and conditions in one step. No fuss. Eventually, we all cross the finish. Winners just find a better way to get there.
With AT&T's new True Rewards program, now all the kids can get the movie they want. Just show your AT&T True Rewards card at Blockbuster Video, and when you rent 2 movies, you get a 3rd one free. It's another one of the rewards of a lasting relationship. AT&T.
Back live in the center corner at the Autódromo do Estoril. Bom dia, as they say in Portugal. Good day. Bob Varsha, Eddie Cheever with you. You watch John Alesi in his personal battle with Michael Schumacher. And there is Martin Brunt. No, it's Rubens Barrichello. No, Martin Scari. Barrichello climbing out of the Jordan. Always go with your instinct. Things have not been going well for a man who has long been the youngest driver in Formula One. Eddie Jordan says, I have Ralf Schumacher next year, and I have 1 seat open, and I'm talking with everyone about it.
I think Barrichello came into Formula One a little bit early. Piquet says he's probably one of the most talented drivers he's ever seen. I think you have to develop almost into an adult before you can drive a Formula One. I was testing for Ferraris when I was 18 years old, and it's just too much. It's just too overbearing. You can't learn everything because you're so worried about what's going on around you. That I think that's what happened to him. He had a bad accident about 3 years ago.
Schumacher
has paid the price.
Schumacher all over Alesi for 3rd place.
Now listen to the throttle around here again. Schumacher was trying to hold the inside line there because he could get a little bit of clean air, and Alesi was pushing him towards the outside. You can almost control the line to somebody behind you by the line you take by stealing their air on a fast corner like that. That is especially true on an oval. Schumacher can make a run at him here under braking. Ooh. Whoa, almost locked up the rear brakes, almost lost it under braking.
That's Lavaggi in the minority they're going around.
That's twice Lavaggi's created problems today.
There's Eddie Irvine in the Ferrari pits. He was in 5th spot.
Schumacher is all over Alesi.
Great corner right there. Uphill, off camber, left-hander.
And shoots right down into almost the bottom of the valley. This is a section where Schumacher seems to be very quick. He's very fast in these little slow corners.
You raised that point about maturity. His younger brother Ralph coming into the sports. He's about 6 years younger than Michael. And really hasn't shown an awful lot. 3rd in the German Formula 3 championship on a couple of occasions. Leading in Japanese Formula 3000, but there is a debate as to whether or not that is as formidable a series as it once was. And both cars head for the pits, Alesi and Schumacher. This should be interesting.
Alesi did not make the same mistake, but he left about 3 feet on the exit there by the guardrail.
Schumacher also wanted to come in a lot quicker than Alesi allowed him to.
Come on.
Knows he has to get out ahead of him right now.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Boy, they got that right front tire changed quickly. I hope they got the safety clip back on. Schumacher comes out ahead of Alesi. So we have a position change in the pits.
Now they both have fresh tires. Let's see who's quicker. Alesi really seemed to be struggling with the set of tires towards the end of that run.
Pit stops continue. Mika Hakkinen has his McLaren in for service.
I bet there's steam coming out of Alesi's helmet there because he came into the pits ahead of the Ferrari and he came out of it behind. So there'll be a lot of Monday morning discussions as to why that happened. All of these teams film their pit stops and they go through every minute detail of who was changing what, who was late, what is the problem. It's time. The time you lose in the pits is exactly the same as the time you lose on the track.
Talk about losing time. Ricardo Rosset, 10.2 seconds. And Harold Frenson with the Sauber team, a much more competitive 7.9. Let's take a look at our Havoline race recap now. The race leader is Damon Hill, has led since lap 36. Lead changes coming on pit stops. There have been 4 between 4 drivers. Rubens Barrichello is out of the race. The only car listed as officially out of the race at this point. He spun the Jordan off into a gravel trap. There's Damon Hill, who in addition to becoming the first second-generation world champion, he could also become the second man who began his Grand Prix career as a test driver to become world champion. As you watch Gerhard Berger pitting from 5th place. Nigel Mansell, interesting onboard view from David Coulthard's car. All the elaborate equipment that the crew uses to get him fueled up. Good stop for the McLaren team.
Now we know what it looks like from the fuel tank.
That's the view the fuel tank valve has. We're on board with Jacques Villeneuve. Getting back to my point, Nigel Mansell came into the sport. Colin Chapman with the Lotus team was somehow persuaded that he needed to take on the young Englishman who was broke, had mortgaged his house to continue Formula 3 racing. Came into Lotus as a test driver and eventually went on to win the World Championship. Damon Hill would like to do the same. Hill's background is motorcycle racing rather than kart racing. In one of the press conferences this weekend, the drivers were asked about their opinions of kart racing as a development tool for drivers. They made a lot of good points, not least of which was the fact that you can learn passing maneuvers without flipping your car over. Very hard to flip a racing kart. Damon Hill had to say, I haven't done any kart racing. All of my racing was done on motorcycles.
I've done both. I almost broke my back on a motorcycle, and I can guarantee you can flip carts because I've done it more than once. I did it once here at this circuit. We had a world championship here in Portugal, and I hit a bale of hay and spent about probably 5 days lying on my stomach because I had no skin left on my back.
There were some other names people might recall in that field as well.
Ricardo Patrese, and I think Senna had failed to qualify for that. McLaren slowing down on the inside.
Very slowly.
Missing a piece of the front wing.
Front end damage, I think that's Coulthard. As you watch Hill flying along. Villeneuve now dropping back a bit.
I have no idea what Villeneuve is doing. I think it almost looks like he might have gotten an order from his team to just back off, sit as you are.
Coulthard apparently spun at the hairpin and damaged that nose wing. That's why he is in. Oh, we've got the surprise pit stop has caught out the team. They're working on Haakonen's nose. Now there is Coulthard.
Oh boy, that is nothing worse than coming into the pits and seeing that the gas attendant is busy and nobody can do some work on your car. Look how much camera they're running in the front of the McLaren. My goodness.
Put a sticker on the left front. The rest appear to be scuffed. I wonder if they're running out of tires or if they're just rolling the dice to try to get a better handling situation by mixing their tires.
I think they're just running out of tires. I don't know why they would be choosing a different side. Everybody's been had a very difficult time with tire wear this weekend, and probably that's all they have left.
Of course, he may have had a puncture and they just needed to grab a tire and get it on the front. Well, things have settled down after a rash of pit stops. We'll take a timeout and return. Right now, it is Damon Hill's championship. We'll be back.
I get here early to stock up on Texaco Havoline Formula 3 motor oil because it gives my engine complete protection.
Me too.
Michael Andretti.
Texaco Havoline Formula 3 is formulated to control volatility and fight vaporization. And it's the same oil used by championship racing teams.
Empty.
Tough track, huh?
Take it to the star. And to give your cooling system maximum protection, get Havoline Extended Life Antifreeze.
This seems like a good time to introduce the new, more responsive Volvo 850 GL2. Drive safely.
We take a great deal of pride in being the best. Doesn't happen by chance. It's all really about what you're made of. You gotta want it. You gotta really want it. You gotta have that fire. It's the only way. The object of any game is to win. You never, ever, ever settle for second best. Competition's a good thing.
I'm writing because I have a very close friend who's being verbally abused by her parents. They tell her she's a failure, no good, and stupid. I told her to talk to the school counselor, but she's afraid her parents will find out and make things worse for her. She has thought about suicide many times, but someone was always there to convince her otherwise. I just worry that one day there won't be anyone there.
We are back live at the Grand Prix of Portugal. You're looking at race leader Jacques Villeneuve. That's because his teammate Damon Hill just made his third stop, and he actually made it fairly early. Now here's a replay of a passing maneuver that went horribly awry, and the Ligier of Pedro Diniz.
There was just no room there. You can't pass a car at the last minute. You've got to get alongside them, and then you can pass them. Those do or die things rarely work.
Let's go back and take a look at Damon Hill's pit stop. Here it is. We expected him on lap 52. He came in on lap 49.
And here comes Villeneuve.
Now back to live action. This is Jacques Villeneuve making his final stop. Whoops.
Oh, that could have been close. He could have missed his mark. He actually went a little bit farther than he planned and hit that board on the front, locked his front brakes coming in. He's just trying to make up time.
One of the Benetton mechanics has written a book, and in it he discusses Michael Schumacher's strength as a racing driver. And he says one of the things that the team really appreciates and adds to Schumacher's success is that he makes brilliant pit stops. He hits his marks spot on, time after time after time.
Schumacher has the unique ability to focus on the obvious little things and take care of them better than anybody else in this business. I mean, even you listen to his interviews, he's not interested in going out and being the world champion. He's interested in driving.
On the exchange of pit stops, Jacques Villeneuve keeps the lead in the race. Damon Hill runs second. And there is the results of this engine meltdown for Jos Verstappen.
About 80 grand of damage. There's some amazing technology in these Formula One engines now. I mean, the pieces have just become so expensive. That's why all these constructors are focusing on a team.
TWR team said they had redesigned their front suspension and dialed out much of the understeer that had been plaguing them all year long. Next year they will have a fresh chassis and possibly their own proprietary engine. Tom Walkinshaw Racing, very much capable of producing racing engines of his own.
Absolutely. One of the better managers in motor racing, has been very successful in all the categories he has raced in. And you have to say, I'm almost sure that in the next 5 or 6 years, Walkinshaw is going to be winning Grand Prix races.
There's Villeneuve. Small margin over his teammate. Remember the gap, first to second, is 10 points to 6 points, a 4-point gap. That would take it down under 10 points. That would do it for Jacques Villeneuve. That would make the gap 9 and send them to the final race in Suzuka, Japan. Points as of now.
The flag marshals are have a very important job today, as they do every Grand Prix weekend. They have to make sure they show those flags in time so the back markers will know to get out of the way. The radio communications in a Formula One car are not as aggressive and not as strong as they are in Indy cars. So mostly it's the flag marshals are the one that show them when to get around and when not to. That didn't quite work out the way everybody wanted it to.
Awkward moment there. That was Martin Brundle in the Jordan.
Martin just couldn't make up his mind whether he wanted him to pass in the corner or out of the corner, and I think Villeneuve did the right thing by just backing up and saying, okay, you get your little problem sorted out and I'll pass you later.
Now let's be clear about the point situation. I may have misled you early on. If Jacques Villeneuve wins the race, no matter what Damon Hill does, even if he finishes second, it will be a 9-point gap, and the championship will go to the last race of the year in Suzuka. But if Hill passes Villeneuve, it's over. Let's take another look at Villeneuve's pit entry. Watch him lock him up. And as bad as that looked, it may have made the difference in him getting out ahead of Hill.
Well, what he had to do, he locked up his brakes, so he had to take his foot off the brake pedal, which is a very difficult thing to do when you're missing your mark, and start his whole braking procedure all over again. And he, obviously, that little bit of just being on the limit and getting in there as quickly as he can made the difference that got him ahead.
And just barely, as you saw, Villeneuve got out ahead.
The difference between these two drivers in qualifying was 9/1000ths of a second. 9/1000ths of a second, I think on the circuit, is about half a foot. So that's maybe just a little bit tighter line in one corner or changing gears in a different place. So it is hardly anything at all.
Well, that's what Jacques Villeneuve, when asked about it later, he said, well, if someone told you you had to make up 9/1000ths, you have to logically think that you could do it, but you'd probably throw the car off the racetrack trying.
Right, because they are driving on the limit anyway. So when you start a lap like that, you're almost in automatic. You just let the car go where it wants to go and just try to run it as fast as you can.
There you see the gap. Villeneuve to Hill. This is what Villeneuve needs. This is enough to send the race for the title to the last race of the season in Suzuka, Japan in 3 weeks. If Damon Hill wants to clinch, he'll have to get around Jacques Villeneuve. We'll be back with more from Portugal in just a moment.
Look, I think I saw my breath.
You didn't see your breath.
I did, I saw it.
Why don't you call Sears?
Maybe I should call.
Brian, I'm cold, you're cold, it's cold.
It's time.
It's definitely time to call Sears now and save on installed heating. Get 0% finance charge, no billing, no payments until January with the Sears Charge Home Improvement Plan. Call now for a free in-home estimate on a Kenmore furnace. State-of-the-art engineering means greater energy efficiency. A new Kenmore could save 10 to 43% on your annual heating costs. In time, even pay for itself. Sears also offers fast emergency installation, a 5-year warranty on parts, plus our satisfaction guarantee. And you know Sears will be there to back it up. Get 0% finance charge, no billing, no payments until January. Offer ends September 30th, so call now and save with Sears.
Winner. Don't you just love it?
I'm warming up to it.
Soon you'll be able to know immediately if statements like these are true. Mr. Gullible. ESPN News Network, the 24-hour sports news network from ESPN. Who else?
Back live in Portugal, where Jacques Villeneuve is doing exactly what he needs to do to keep his title hopes alive. He is in first place and drawing away from his teammate Damon Hill. Meanwhile, Johnny Herbert makes a stop in the Sauber pits. That should be his last one. Don't forget, excuse me, Eddie, RPM today, coming up today at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, with all the news to set you up for the day, including highlights of this race. And then tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, RPM tonight here on ESPN2 with all of the highlights of the day in motorsports.
What a race this has turned out to be. I would have never thought that Villeneuve would have gotten into the lead after the blistering pace that Hill started off on, and he really has come through, and the times, the speeds he are turning is just so much faster than what Hill is doing, and he's just pulling out like 3 or 4 tenths of lap, and he's just doing it consistently, lap after lap after lap. So maybe Hill has a problem, or it just hasn't happened this year that one of these two drivers had this big an advantage on the other.
Well, we saw Villeneuve draw right up to Hill's gearbox briefly while Hill was leading, before the lead was exchanged on the pit stops. And then Villeneuve dropped back again. Oh, that was close. We also saw both the Canadian and Quebec flags in the grandstand. Plenty of fans here urging Villeneuve on. If he wins this race, it will be his 4th race of his first year in Formula One. There you see David Coulthard. His teammate Mika Hakkinen has already parked. Coulthard now picks up a 10-second pit lane speeding violation penalty. Coulthard has also made an extra pit stop following the one we saw earlier when he and Hakkinen were in the pits at the same time. He came in for an extra one, and that is where he went too fast on his way out.
There's no reason for that. That is a given to lose all. It's not just a 10-second penalty. You got to come into the pits, leave the pits. It looks like McLaren is having one of those weekends from hell here. Both drivers have spun. They've had problems, and not good. That is another team that's looking forward to the end of this championship so they can get on with the next one. Schumacher has pulled away from Alizé, so it seems that the 3rd place is pretty strongly in his hands. Villeneuve again pulls out another 4 tenths.
What's going on in Damon's mind and in his race car right now? This sets up an interesting situation for the final race of the year in 3 weeks' time in Suzuka, Japan. Even if he wins this race, Villeneuve will still have to finish on the podium in Japan and hope that Damon Hill does not score points. Stranger things have happened.
4 tenths per lap is a lot. That's not. I think something is wrong, or either he's decided to run a different pace, or something is wrong because he started the race off at such a fast pace. I can't really understand why he would be losing that much time. Maybe he has a problem. We can't really tell because we're not in the car with him, and I don't know what his temperatures are, but it does not make sense that he's losing that much time on Villeneuve at this point of the race.
After checking with the Williams team, we can report that Damon has not spoken of any problems in the car. And Damon is a very chatty driver on the radio. Frank Williams has been quoted before as saying he wished Damon talked less and drove harder.
I'm sure Damon will be talking a lot less to him in the future, so he won't have to worry about that.
Oh, how things change in Formula One.
It could be that, it's just a possibility, but it could be that Hill felt that he was using his tires too much on his earlier runs, and maybe he is trying to conserve his tires for the end of the race. I mean, it's a hypothesis, but it's possible.
He's going to be running out of laps fairly soon. We're working lap number 57 right now. With 13 laps remain, Olivier Panis. His crew working, including some very flashy fire helmets on his team. And away he goes at 75 miles an hour. If not, he, like David Coulthard, will be back in to spend 10 seconds sitting still and thinking about it. There's Damon Hill running in second place. We'll be back with more from the Grand Prix of Portugal in just a moment.
A front airbag is a very powerful device designed to help protect an adult, not a child. Because of the size of the bag and the speed of its inflation, Volvo believes no child should ever be placed in the front seat of a car. Any car. Drive safely.
Hey, having a little trouble packing on pounds, sports, or to even be noticed? You could cram down all this, loaded with fat and cholesterol, or you could drink a glass of this and pack on quality pounds. It's General Nutrition's Pro Performance 2200 Weight Gainer. 2,200 pound packing calories a serving. Fortified with guarana, OKG, creatine, and royal jelly. Beef up your bones with GNC's Pro Performance 2200 Weight Gainer. Get noticed, get big, get a life. Only at GNC.
This is about what everybody in business is talking about. This is about the internet and intranet. But it's not more platitudes or promises. This is about how one company can give you access to the world's largest and fastest internet network, or help you create and support your own site. This is about how you get aboard the train and in the race. About how easy it can be to put the whole world together. Network MCI. That's how.
Back live in Portugal, Jacques Villeneuve continues to draw away from Damon Hill, who has a handy 38-second lead over Michael Schumacher. We said coming into the day that the battle would be between the championship rivals, and that's the way it has been. Schumacher unable to hoist the Ferrari up into a potentially winning position. It has been all Hill and Villeneuve, or at the moment, Villeneuve and Hill. As you check the gaps between the other drivers, Eddie Irvine and Gerhard Berger running fairly close together. There is great golf action coming your way, both on ESPN and ESPN2. Coming up on ESPN, the PGA Tour Buick Challenge, including Tiger Woods visiting Pine Mountain, Georgia. Coverage Friday. Then on ESPN2, we'll have the Saturday coverage beginning at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Beautiful golf course, so check it out on ESPN and ESPN2.
Villeneuve is definitely not coasting. He just missed his braking point there by about 20 yards and had to do the whole corner on the outside. So he's charging at the fastest it would seem like the fastest pace he has, the car is capable of doing.
He came in with a fairly complicated scenario. He had to win the race in order to take the championship to Japan no matter what happened. If he finished second, he needed Damon Hill to be fifth or worse. And if he finished third, he needed Damon Hill to score no points at all. And Villeneuve chose not to chance things. He has gone right to the front. Took him a while to get there, but now with 10 laps remaining, he has the lead and an 8-second advantage over Hill, who simply has nothing for him right now. Hill is losing all kinds of ground. I wonder if he has a bad set of tires or something on the car.
He's just blowing him into the weeds.
Now keep in mind, Villeneuve is having an historic rookie year in Formula One, discounting the first year of the game when everybody was a first-year driver. He picks up his fourth win today. He has had virtually unprecedented success in his opening year in Formula One.
A driver's success has a lot to do with the circumstances that he works in. Villeneuve's have been perfect here. He has a team that does a lot of testing, so he gets to try the car a lot. He has a teammate that is a very good tester, so the car is always up to the level that it has to be. He's racing with the best engine, the best team, and it's just a perfect environment for a young driver to come into. And he's been confirmed for the next, I don't know how long his contract is, but he's confirmed for the future, whereas his teammate is not. He's done everything that has been asked of him and more.